Good day, my friends. Good day. Let us start off with this moment of reflection. I want you to focus on that which we have to pay attention to. Let me remind you to sign up for the newsletter. There's a link I put. Got a good newsletter coming out today. It's wonderful. Let me also ask you to please like this video. Likes are critical. Subscribe to the channel if you already haven't. And of course, always hit that little bell so you're notified of live streams and new videos and the like. Now, my friends, and I mean this because you are my friend. I consider this. It's very difficult for you and for other people to really understand sometimes where you fit into this world. That's the problem. And that's the thing which I don't know how to explain other than to just point it out. Today, in 1968, think about this. Was this 55 years ago? Is that right? 55 years ago. Robert F. Kennedy died. He was shot, as you remember. And he was only, listen to this, he was 42 years old. 42 years old. And his son is 69 years old. Think about this. He could have a child as old as his father was when he was killed. Remember, he was shot, and then he lingered a bit, and then it was very, very sad. Let me also tell you, and this is the most important, and I know for a fact that Bobby Kennedy Jr., by virtue of who he is and what he is, and I know and you know that he knows more about this than you could ever imagine. Okay? You know this, and I know this, and I don't begin to understand what they are or are not allowed to discuss in public. I don't know this. I don't know how it works. I don't know how Prince Harry and Wills and all these other people can selectively talk about certain things. But when it comes to Robert F. Kennedy Jr., nobody will ever talk about him in anything other than this halcyon, glowing praise. What was repeatedly cited, and please, I'm open to having this misunderstanding corrected. But what was repeatedly cited wasn't the fact that he basically was brutal, absolutely vicious. They hated the Kennedys, primarily, in many respects, because of him. JFK, LBJ despised him. What they did to Carlos Marcello by deporting him in the middle of the night to what? Not Guadalajara, Guatemala, and oh my God, this guy took on these folks. And it's a story that is so complicated. And it involves an organized crime family that does not exist anymore. These people do not exist. There is none. With all the proliferation of mafia shows, and there is nothing that comes close to what organized crime was and how inextricably connected it was with Intel, the nascent period of our Intel then, from OSS all the way through World War II, all the way through the Red Scare, Kremlin Gate, and all this baiting. And it's so fascinating how this thing works. Do you understand how this? Does this make sense to you? Nobody wants to hear what I have to say. I would waste my time trying to explain this because what I love are the not the vagaries perhaps, but the incalculably complicated intricacies of how this works. Americans don't want that. We don't want that. No, he was a wonderful man. I'm sure he was. The Bobby Kennedy at the end was not the Bobby Kennedy when he was younger. What they did, this mob was, to call it the mob. Do you know what it's like? Do you know what it's like when during World War II, they go to Vito Genovese and they say, listen, we need some help. What do you mean? You know Sicily. We need you. This is before anybody really understood. This is before Kefauver, before McClellan Commission, before any Frank Costello, before any of that stuff. They didn't know about the organized crime, the mob. They didn't know anything about this. We need your help. And these were absolute, unabashed, unapologetic patriots. Vito Genovese. These people, why? Because they hated Mussolini. Fascism, fascisti, Cesare More. This was his Torquemada, his torturer-in-chief. It was brutal what he did. Jump to Havana. Jump later on. What do we have there? Instead of fascists, we have communists. We have, of course, Castro, who threw them all out, including Santo Trafficante from Tampa and everybody else. And when Santo Trafficante was arrested, who was the person who went with a letter of introduction to try to get him out? Jack Ruby. Do I have to go through this? I'm not even going to waste my time, because somebody at the Washington Post, some 20-year-old kid with a man bun and a cloth bag and Birkenstocks, drinking out of a sippy cup, who makes no eye contact and can't shake your hand, is going to call me a conspiracy theorist because they have no idea what I'm talking about. The level of complicated is so beyond anything, and I love it. But Americans don't like it because it takes too much time for me to say, well, let's pull this thread out. Let me explain you this part. This is where this comes in. Why did we make a deal with the mob? Very simply, we needed them in Italy after what? Gladio, Operation Gladio, after World War II. Oh, because why? Communism. Johnny Agnelli, Fiat, those guys, communism. This was, where did Aldo Moro and the Red Brigade and all those people come in? Where this goes on, and it's so fascinating. Beyond the ken, beyond the focus of certainly the American sock puppet children's media. It's going back to this, though. Imagine after World War II, when you have Cascioferro and Calogero, Vizzini, and these the Il Uomo, the Onore, the man of honor, the oh my God, these guys, the Sicilians would say, get rid of them. Oh no, they're your mayors now. That's the deal we made. We needed them because they were the ones that say, you want to land? We'll show you how to land. You want Sicily? We'll show you how to do it. We're in. And the mob, before they were the mob, and the OSS and the American military became part and parcel. When Johnny Roselli later on with Operation Mongoose and all that other kind of stuff, who do you think that was? That was, again, the mob. With Miami and Trafficante. And it's beautiful. And then Bobby Kennedy and John Kennedy say, forget the Bay of Pigs. Now you've just enraged the right-wingers. And who else? Who else wanted that? The mob. You were going to go back into Cuba. They took our stuff, the Tropicana and all that. When we had Batista, you did what? We're going to back off. So now everybody's mad at him. Everybody. Then comes Alan Dulles. You know, the 1,000 pieces. I mean, it's just... And little things really matter to these people. Little things. Momo, Sam Giancana, after they delivered, you want to talk about election denials, fixed elections? Look at Chicago. John Kennedy won by a sliver. Nixon could have made a big deal about this, but he said, no, I'm not going to do that. It was considered just disruptive. Not today. So what happened? After they get him in, here comes Mr. Rackets, Mr. Bobby Kennedy, going after Jimmy Hoffa, Marteruzzo, which was his nickname. And who was he connected with? Santo Travagante, Carlos Marcello. I mean, what? Why did you do this? Why? What is with you? Your father was this is Joe Kennedy. Not only was he a bootlegger, but he was a gangster. OG, whatever you want to call it. He and these, let me explain something to you. Go back a little bit. The three sources of American organized crime: Jewish, Irish, and Sicilian. Why? All of them oppressed by governments, feudal landlords. The Sicilians were another one. They were they were born with this sense of oppression, this reaction to that. But the Irish need not apply here. You know that shanty Irish and lace curtain and all that. The Kennedys were never considered to be rude, never, But they fought from Honey Fitz, the mayor of Boston. And here comes Joe, and when Joe Kennedy basically sides not with that German dude with the Chaplin, toothbrush, but that was it. And FDR brings him in and says, you're through. What are you, nuts? Even though FDR denied entry to the St. Louis, the ship. So he turns now to Joe. Joe, you're going to be it. Joe, this is Joseph P. This is the eldest, the best, Mr. Handsome, Mr. Everything. And John was a skinny kind of kid. He was really like his son. He kind of just wasn't really... It was going to be Joseph. It was going to be the eldest. And then when John gets awarded, when he's a war hero, through this PT 109, and they write the book and Profiles of Courage, the story is that Joseph, the brother, was so upset, he ran upstairs crying. How is my brother? He's the war hero? That's where Joe said, I've got to do something daring. I got to do something big. So he gets in a plane, basically loaded with bombs, decides to fly over, and it's a suicide mission. Sure enough, this is this mentality. This is this thing. And with Bobby Kennedy, I know we can't say it, but he's kind of like Harry. Prince Harry. You know Prince Harry, if you talk to him, you give him a few drinks, and you said, Harry, do you have any doubts about the story with your mom? You betcha. But Will's is okay. He didn't say anything. He knows exactly where his bread is buttered. Well, that's the way it goes. Win some, you lose some. That's the way it is. And you know deep down inside, because the rest of the Kennedys have been just quiet. They don't say anything. And Bobby's been the thorn in their side, the burr under their saddle, the stone in their shoe. That's why I love him. Love him. Keep saying it, but he's been real quiet regarding his father. Real quiet. The story, I mean, come on. Do you know the first thing about the official story of Sirhan? Look, a lot of things have been alleged. We will never know the truth. We will never know the truth. But there are two cases that I've heard, and I've heard people say, alleged, this could all be wrong, but the assailants said something that was completely consistent with that which we would think would be a part of the now declassified MK Ultra, which is not a conspiracy theory, it's declassified. Mark David Chapman, Sirhan Sirhan. Both of them. I don't remember what I don't know what. Now that doesn't mean anything. It doesn't prove anything. We'll never find anything. But that's the probable cause to say, follow that angle. This is very interesting. Very interesting. Now, what do you do when you know this or suspect this? Nothing. There are some of the best scholars. You'll never see them in the Washington Post. You'll never see them on New York Times. Never, ever, ever. There's a fellow by the name of Gruber who is superb. Superb. It just incredible. There are others that are just, oh my God. There are citizen, civilian, alternative, and foreign media types who are so, they're superb. Not in this country. In our country, intellectual torpor is encouraged. Don't think too much. Shh. Keep going. Be quiet. Play along. Don't beep, 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 beep. So, I talk about that on my private channel. Chaotic anarchy. Think the plane crash in D.C. was a message to Trump? No. No. Why? Why was it? By the way, thank you, Chaotic. Why? What kind of message is that? If it's a message, then the people giving the message are idiots. Too sloppy, too unnecessary. What I want to know is how they sure responded fast to that. They sure responded fast. There were some other times when there was plane activity over D.C. where nobody was there. Happened to be on a particular day of note when there happened to be more military operations and war games than you could ever imagine. But that's not for here. America doesn't want to know that. America doesn't want to. See, people love this idea, chaotic. We're sending a message. Well, the message is, first of all, the way you send a message is not. That's too much attention. You send a message up close and personal. There are ways to send message. I don't think Trump needs any more messages. I think the guy's getting message. He's going to get indicted. I don't know what you need. They're going to indict him. They are not done with him. They are not done with him. And what's interesting about that, changing the subject, when I talk to people about this, I have these idiot friends, and especially, I found that anybody with a member of any kind of political club knows the least. If there's any kind of group involving Republicans in particular, they know nothing. Absolutely nothing. So the other day, I'm talking to somebody higher up, theoretically of note, and we're talking about Mar-a-Lago, and they say, "Wow, it's ridiculous." Biden's got documents. It's not about the possession of documents. That's not what this is. It's not that. That's not it. Well, did you see Trump's tweet? All the typos and the capital letters and this, it has nothing to do with this. You're not even answering the right question. Who is doing this? Who is writing them? I don't think he's sitting there typing in capitals, and somebody should say, okay, let me see this first. Now you reread it. You proofread it. You're not going to send anything out until we proofread it. Why are you sending things out with, again, apostrophes that are unnecessary and capital letters, and you're missing the point. He's not going to be indicted for possessing documents. It's the obstruction of justice part. So what does this person say I talked to the other day? Oh, come on. Excuse me. Oh, he didn't do anything. Good. We're going to go on a plane and we're going to go and you're going to see Jack Smith and you're going to tell him. Because, see, he doesn't know that. He hasn't talked to you. This is what Republicans do. Oh, come on. Let's watch Fox News. By the way, I've forced myself to watch maybe more Fox News this week than ever. A total of 5 minutes. 30 seconds here. Yep, there we go with that. Pablum, 4 o'clock in the morning, early morning news. They're cutting that off. They're cutting corners. They're cutting staff. They're diluting the concept. They're putting people like this typhoid guy on with a hat and all this. They wanted to be more funny and And here's something too. Guess who's going to come back and they're going to say, Tucker. You got it? Got it? Think about it. Think about it. Where's Tucker? Have you heard anything from him? No. When he comes back, do you think that... And by the way, Chaotic, this is a wonderful questions you are asking. Please read these. Nobody cares about this. This is interesting. You have to understand what subjects people care about. Nobody's going to care. Nobody's interested in that. Go ahead. Too much information. Too much information. America right now, let me see if I can explain this to you. America in particular, and the Republicans, are interested in woke stuff. This Matt Walsh and others, they are just focused on transgender this, transgender that, target this, target that. Woke. We got to stop the woke agenda. It's like, this is what you're talking about? How do you plan to stop the woke agenda? Well, we're going to stop it. What are you going to do? I don't know, but we're going to stop the woke agenda. How? How do you stop the woke agenda? Did you see that Lululemon story where the CEO said, I stand by my decision to fire those workers who basically either tried to stop the burger. I don't know if it was it wasn't really a robbery, but anyway, to stop the theft or whatever it was. He said it perfectly. He said, we had a policy. Don't engage in these people. Let them take whatever they want. For your safety, our safety, the safety of our customers, do not engage. If they're armed, we don't want you. And you know what? He's right. At least that's how he gets off the hook. It's beautiful. Let me see if I can explain something to you. Are you ready for this? Let me see if I can explain this. And this is the way I want you to think today. I want you to imagine you're flying in a plane and you have an instrument panel, and the instrument panel is filled with every kind of meter and dial and data piece you can imagine. Everything. Fuel, speed, cabin temperature, what music is playing in the main plane, what's being served, what time it is in Kuala Lumpur, all this stuff. So much data, and you got to fly this thing. Now, the first thing you realize is you got to figure out what data are the most important. What is it? And that's what Americans and Republicans can't do. Remember something. Democrats don't care. Democrats don't care. Let me see if I can explain this to you, okay? There is no Democratic equivalent to you. 90% of those people who vote Democrat do not care about any of this stuff. Seriously. There's a very small proportion who are kind of active, and they may watch, I guess, I don't know, whatever MSDNC, but they really don't care anything about anything. They really don't. They for the most part, they don't care. Let me say this again. They don't care about anything. There is no, how do I say this? There is no interest in this. You have interest. You're passionate about stuff. You see all kinds of connections, and you have so much. You are the greatest detectives ever. There is no information. When you get on something, you just don't let go. I remember one time somebody who knew more information about Vince Foster, Fort Marcy Park, Hillary Clinton than you could ever imagine. The evidence will blow your mind. Blow your mind. It was incredible. Not that she had anything to do with it, but that the official statement had nothing to do with reality, okay? Nothing. You got that? Nobody cared. It was the most incredible thing in the world. I said, but aren't you interested just in the art? Or maybe somebody, no. Don't you? How about Robert Hansen? Did you see that? The FBI agent who was doing a life sentence, who died, and, well, they waited a long time, but remember that? That was a story yesterday where they found him unresponsive. I did two new videos here at the main panel. 2 on Epstein. Incredible story. Absolutely incredible. So I'm sitting at this airplane, these dials, and I'm looking at, fuel, speed, things like that, and everybody else is looking at, I don't know what, temperature inside the men's room. I don't know what they're looking at. That's where we are right now. That's the thing which is the most important. The information that is available to you. I hope you're following please sign up for that newsletter. Oh, I throw stuff at people. You cannot believe the stuff that's out there. Cannot believe what's happening. Anybody interested in all of what's happening in Ukraine? No. When I heard the other day, Nikki Haley, basically, I thought to myself, dear God. Now here's one for you. Everybody likes James Woods, right? The actor, right? You like him. Don't you like him? Don't you think he's good, right? You're a big fan of his. Big fan, because he's a genius, and he's a genius. Okay. And then he goes from being an actor, and then he wants to be a right-winger, and he's not really sure. So there's a picture of Eric Adams, the mayor, suggesting that illegal migrants should be put into private residences in New York. It is my vision to take the next step to this faith-based locales and then move to a private residence. They have spare rooms. Now, if this is forced, this is a violation of the Third Amendment. So James Woods writes, communism finally bears its fangs. No more pretending. Now, when I hear this, I lose my mind. When I hear people suggest communism, Marxism, they have no idea what they're talking about. Marxism, they'll say Marxism, communism. Communism? Why is this? This is a planned economy? Communism? What does this mean? Well, that's just the word we use whenever we don't like what the left is doing. We call it communism or Marxism. You never hear Leninism. It's always Marxism. And what does Marxism mean? Well, it means that, what? Well, I don't know. I don't know. This is where I lose it. The other day, we're talking to a friend, very nice person, Republican organization. She goes, oh, these liberals. I said, let me ask you a question. Who are the liberals? I said, do you think that Joe Biden is a liberal? A liberal. What does that mean? I don't know. It's a name. It's a word I use. That just, it means, I don't know what it means. It just, Do you think that he's in the liberal? You think Gene McCarthy? But no, that's what we call it. Okay. So the bottom line is they're looking at their instrument panel and they're looking at stuff that doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter. It's like none of this. They're talking about news stories that I swear to God don't matter. Or it's not important. I've never seen anything like it. Never. This is the most. I'm going to also tell you something. I want to explain something to you. And I try to explain something to folks, and this might be, nobody really gets this. Let me ask you a question. Here is a story. This is from Lizzo. Do you know who Lizzo is? Lizzo. She's a singer, African American, and she's she's zaftig, dare I say. She's rather large of stature. And while I think I think body dysmorphia is a horrible thing, there's a quote. She says, "Never beating the fat A allegations, Lizzo lauded by fans for posting body positive shot of her behind." This is steatopigia on steroids. Now, let me ask you a very simple question, and see if you can follow me on this one. I'm sure you can. Do you believe, listen to me carefully, do you believe that the people that we call the I just refer to as the shadow government, the people who actually run the show, the ones who are the invisible hand of what? Do you believe people from the Rothschilds to the World Economic Forum to the globalists to the CFRs to the UNs to the folks who are into all kinds of population control, the Malthusian and the Bentham population folks, do you or do you not, listen to me carefully, do you think they look at poor communities of all races, and do you think that they want to encourage more of them? Do you think, let me say this to you, do you think that these folks, whoever you, Bill Gates, the World Health Organization, whoever, just think of this, that they want the Davos group, the G7s, the ones who fly in, the Bilderberger, do you think they look at Lizzo and others and say, that is a population of society that we want to not only encourage, but that we support 100%? Do you think so? I don't. Let me rephrase this. Do you think that it might be a good idea for these people to, the next time they fly in, go to people in the, how do I say this? Go to people in the, I don't want to say poorer, but people of color, African American, urban, whatever it is. And if we say, we're going to go in and we're going to do something. If I can go in, and I'll just pick the black population. If I can go in right now, and if I can lower average BMI rates by 10%, just by that alone, I could be, you know how many lives I would save in terms of cardiac incidents, renal failure, visual failure, blindness, hypertension, diabetes, amputations. Do you know what I could do? Since we're all interested in surgeries and for gender affirming and gender, that's fine. Do you, if I said I would like to be in control or in charge of something where we're going to go into, we're going to have pilot programs, and we're going to go into areas that are with health problems and the like, and we're going to put more money up to put organic food stores there, special discounts for eating better. We're going to bring in the creme de la creme of entertainers and musicians that any particular demographic, whether it's Tejano, in the case of Mexico, whatever it is, but to really do a full court press, because we want these people to live longer and live better. Do you think they would do that? Do you? Do you think they would do that? Do you think that the elites of the world have any interest whatsoever in helping these people? Let me go a step further. Do you think they'll never say it? Do you think that they're rather indifferent as to declining populations by virtue of premature death? Do you think that maybe sometimes they might be actually promoting this by saying, listen, let's take unsavory, unhealthy, dangerous lifestyles and let's promote it. Let's do it in terms of cannabis and psychoactive drugs. Let's do it in terms of chronic obesity. Let's tell anybody who brings this up in terms of fat shaming, let's target these people and basically have them kill themselves by virtue of this environment that we've created and this behavior that we have lauded and exalted because we secretly don't particularly care for these. And we could change things. If I had a Greta Thunberg do you know what I could do just in terms of just making people, have you noticed a couple of things? All of a sudden, Joe Rogan can think, all of a sudden people are saying, I'm getting into an ice bath. What? I'm getting into an ice bath. Do you have one of those? Yeah. It's a lot of money in ice, but yeah, I got an ice bath. I do an ice bath plunge every day. Is this like that? Remember the Alzheimer? Remember the ice water bucket? Well, whatever. All of a sudden, everybody's doing ice water plunges. They have no idea why. They can't point to the benefits of it. They have no clue as to, well, what is this doing exactly? I don't know. It does something, but okay. Do you think that we could maybe change lives, save lives? Absolutely. Is anything being done for that? Why do you think that is? Use your imagination. Why do you think that is? Why? Why? Here we go. This was a story from the Daily Mail. This was the headline, and it's on my website, my Twitter. Diet coach reveals simple way men can add inches to their penis size and says they need to stop acting like victims as this man is being submerged into ice, one of these ice troughs. I don't think that has the particular desired effect that you would think, but in any event. Do you see this? Here's one. This particularly got me mad. This was a label or a headline I saw from Daily Mail. It said, I'm an expat in Paris. There's this cool kind of chick, And these are the 5 things that will make French people, quote, hate you when you visit. And I wrote, excuse me, are you suggesting the French will hate me? Would you allow me to remind them of how we provided tremendous assistance in that messy World War II thing? And do you think I'm going to be lectured by a child pushing clickbait drivel? Not today, honey. This is where we are. You're going to hate me? What? Here's one for you. GOP House leader's son is caught doing apparently one of those particular types of salutes that were made popular during a particular war called World War II. And their son is standing there mimicking this particular hand gesture. And we're supposed to, this woman's supposed to be fired because her son did a, what? Are you serious? Prince Harry did that. He had a whole thing, a whole regalia, and that was overlooked. I don't know what is it because she's a Republican? I don't think so. Here's a song too I came across. This is a song. It's called what is this called? The song is... I saw this, and I had to share it with you. I knew you'd love it. The song is called, here we go. It's called Vaccinated and I'm Ready for Love. This is Maria Muldaur, October of 2021. You remember Midnight at the Oasis, married to Jeff Muldaur? Okay. Part of the... this is a quote. Maria Muldaur was driving home after receiving her second vaccination, feeling exhilarated. The shot gave her confidence and hope for a disease-free future, and she wrote this song. You can just listen to it. And you can make up whatever you want to make. This is Maria Muldaur. I think we should do the same thing about, prostate checks and colonoscopies. Hey, I got my colonoscopy. Hey, got it. We got it. Have you gotten it? I want to see a thing. What would be the color of the ribbon for a colonoscopy? Hey! Does the thumb kind of give you... That's kind of weird. Here we go. Norway bans sex changes, joins Finland, Sweden, and the UK. The Norwegian Healthcare Investigation Board announced it would be revising its current guidelines regarding so-called gender-affirming care for minors because it no longer is considered them to be evidence-based. Isn't that something? Outsmarted by the Norwegians? How does this work? How does this work? Have you heard John Mearsheimer yet? No, probably not. There is some... And there's this... If you find this interesting... You talk about conspiracies, the word people love. What they are saying right now regarding Licht, Chris Licht at CNN, I don't care anymore. It was kind of interesting. What they are saying, dear God. The level of discussion over this. And they say all his friends, Stephen Colbert told him, Joe Scarborough said, don't take it. It's like, and do what? His other career? What is he? I'm going to go back to something. There are portions of the conservative movement who do nothing but focus on CNN, MSDNC, Rachel Maddow. You might have seen a recent story of Max Blumenthal, who had a little run-in with Rachel Maddow. It's very good, by the way. Excellent stuff. And it's fascinating to them because part of their political ideology is the fact that they can't stand these media platforms. So I'm just leaving you with kind of an overview and remind you of where we started off today. You're going to have to figure out where you fit in the world. Look at your instrument panel. There's so much information coming in, so many stories or whatever. Ask yourself what really matters. And I'm telling you right now, number one, if it's not going to affect the 2024 elections, then this is just theoretical talk. And the number one issue that affects everything that is truly existential is artificial intelligence. That's it. Everything else you can kind of... Because I can discuss war. You could take Zelensky and Putin and sit down. They could shake hands and put an end to it. Humans could theoretically take every weapon, bullet, and destroy it. Could theoretically do it. Artificial intelligence and artificial general intelligence, you can't do anything. You have no control over anything. You just sit back and wait and watch and hope and hope everything's okay. That's it. Do you understand that? That is it. All right, dear friends, you have a great and a glorious day. Thank you so very much. And Chaotic Anarchy, thank you. Great questions, great observations. And as I said to you before, too bad nobody is following your great observations and great theories and hypotheses. There's so much. I can tell you so much stuff that you'll say, wow. And I'm thinking, but nobody cares. Also, remember today there was this thing called D-Day. And D-Day is a very important thing. The Normandy landing. And the question is simply this. Do yourself a favor. If you want to have some fun, ask somebody the question. Could the Russians have defeated Germany without our involvement and without D-Day? That question will just watch people's reaction. They will respond out of indignation. There'll be no thinking. There'll be no, let me get back with you on that. No. Because we live in a world of Saving Private Ryan. I'm not saying in any way, do not think for a moment I'm in any way suggesting it's not a big deal. I'm not saying that. I'm asking about perspective and context in history, which is never added. All right, dear friends, have a great and glorious day. See you tonight, 7 p.m. Don't forget, sign up on that link. I put it right up here for the newsletter. One's coming out later, I think, today. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Like this video. Don't forget to go to Mrs. L's YouTube channel at Lynn's Warriors and her Twitter account at Lynn's, LYNNS _Warriors. And I'm at Lionel Media on Twitter. So in any event, have a great and a glorious day. Thank you so much. And don't forget these words. The monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue ya. Da-da.